morning, everybody, and welcome to our weekly table talk. Last week we were unable to present this conversation to you because of intense inclement weather, which allowed my staff to goof off and be sent home. So sadly we were not, I can see our audience was in support of that goof, but sadly we were unable to broadcast to you last Tuesday, but we will make up for last week with an awesome high-profile guest who joins us today for our weekly conversation, Kim Barton. Let's give Kim. And Kim has brought her friends and co-workers from the Bulverde Spring Branch Pregnancy Centre. And this will be our focus today, to talk about the actual centre, to talk about the clientele that frequent her centre and the struggles that the pregnancy centre may have in light of the many high-profile issues concerning abortion and pro-life. So Kim Barton, welcome.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you for accepting our invitation to be here. So please tell us, Kim, about the Bulverde Spring Branch Pregnancy Centre.
Sure. So some of y'all actually may know that we have our roots actually grounded here in St. Joseph's. So back in 2015, actually, the Boerne Pregnancy Center, the Hill Country Pregnancy Care Center out of Boerne, approached our Respect Life ministry. And they asked if it would be possible to offer some space for some of their services here, because the Bulverde Spring Branch community, Blanco, Canyon Lake, didn't have a pregnancy center here. And so luckily, our priest at the time, Father Pancho, said yes, and we started offering services here in the fall of 2015. Shortly thereafter, we became a satellite then of the Hill Country Pregnancy Care Center, and they named us the Bulverde Spring Branch Pregnancy Care Center. So we operated that way for 4 years under that name. For 1 year, that very first year, we stayed here at the church, and then we also offered services at a local EMS station. So we did that for 1 year until we found our current location in Faithville. And just last year, we were able to become our own 501c3, and we actually changed our name. That was kind of a mouthful, the Bulverde Spring Branch Pregnancy Care Center. So we changed our name to the Share Center. And we did that for 2 reasons, Father. One was because as a pregnancy center, oftentimes people associate that with just having services for pregnant women, which of course we do, and that is our primary focus. But we also offer services to those before they become pregnant. And if you'll give me the chance, I'll tell you a little bit about that, because the Share Center actually stands for Sexual Health and Reproductive Education. Because our services are more than just pregnancy-related services. If we can reach individuals prior to experiencing an unplanned pregnancy, then we hope to avoid that unplanned pregnancy. And so we do offer many services prior to pregnancy. And so we wanted a name that kind of encompassed all of those services.
Beautiful. In recent years, using our baseball field, you actually changed the original signage and marquee from what to what now?
So that's a great question. When the Hill Country Pregnancy Care Center first approached the Respect Life ministry, we had started our own ministry called the Gabriel Project. All these names can get very confusing. It's hard to keep up with. But we had started the Gabriel Project, which is founded in many years in the Catholic Church throughout South Texas and beyond. But that was a 24/7 hotline that we offered to men or women that were experiencing an unplanned pregnancy. So we had started that Gabriel Project, and the sign originally said Gabriel Project, and it said like, pregnant, need help, or kind of what it does now. But then when Hill Country approached us about, hey, we've heard about what y'all are doing, would you mind if we send some of our services out to your church since you're already offering this Gabriel Project ministry? Well, that kind of meshing of the two, we then asked your permission if we could change out the Gabriel Project sign to say Bulverde Spring Branch Pregnancy Care Center, which is what it still says today. We've never asked you to change the sign yet again, because quite honestly, it's a number, that's the most important thing, and it says pregnant, need help. And so we are still offering those same services. We've just, like I said, changed our name over to the Share Center. But that sign still stands and the number's still the same and the services are still the same.
What are the biggest challenges facing your programs, in 2021, compared to challenges in 2015 and prior to 2015?
Well, I think that in some ways we're actually in a better place. We have seen, obviously, with the political climate, we've seen support. Currently, even if for those of y'all who don't already know, Governor Abbott just signed the heartbeat bill, which recognizes life. We, of course, recognize life from the moment of conception. The heartbeat bill actually says that in the state of Texas, women can no longer get an abortion once the heartbeat is detected. And we can actually detect a heartbeat as early as 6 weeks. And at the Pregnancy Center, actually because of our local Knights of Columbus here, they raised money 2 years ago for us to purchase a new sonogram machine that did allow us to detect the heartbeat earlier than we had been previously. So some of these political changes have actually helped us. It's helped us, as I know that so many in society and in the Catholic Church. I mean, we understand that in the Catholic Church we do believe that life begins at conception, but we also understand that there are Catholics who don't share that opinion, and that's true of all of our Christian brothers and sisters. There are some that do believe that that life begins at conception, and others don't. And so I would say that hasn't really changed. That's still something that we are continuing trying to educate people on. We want to reach our young adults, and that's something we're very much trying to do differently now than we did, say, in 2015, is we really want to reach those 19 to 29-year-olds or 18 to 29-year-olds. That's where about 62% of abortions occur. And so if we can reach more young adults, and even prior to that, and educate them and help them understand when life begins, and not only that, but that abortion doesn't have to be the only option. Oftentimes they feel cornered. We know this from asking those that are post-abortive, that have unfortunately had to make that difficult decision. And talking to them, so many times they say, had I only known it was a child, had I only known there were alternatives or that there was support out there. And we've heard that time and time again. And so that's our main goal, is to help educate people and understand that by coming to us, there's no judgment, there's no condemnation. That's a decision they need to make with themselves and with the Lord if they're in that relationship with God. But we are there to educate them and give them information to make the best decision that they can.
Beautiful. In light of Governor Abbott's recent signature, in the context of the heartbeat draft and law, I was very surprised that, and as you had just endorsed, there are many Catholics, who are Catholic, but tend to deviate from church teaching and Catholic expectations. I was even more surprised. Certain young ladies in a Catholic high school in San Antonio were appalled with Governor Abbott's new directive. Here we have Catholic girls from Catholic households who spent their whole lives in Catholic education and now are putting out protests against Governor Abbott. I was shocked to read that from moms who wrote to me from Encarnawood High School. What has gone wrong with our Catholic schools that certain girls will be so adamant in their opposition to something so beautiful as the heartbeat law?
Sure.
Any thoughts on that, Kim?
Well, I think, it's not just our Catholic girls. We look at our Catholic politicians. I mean, we have politicians that are standing up and professing their Catholic faith, and yet they're supporting things that are very against our Catholic beliefs. And so when we don't have role models, and that's not just Catholic politicians, that's bishops, that's our clergy. Some of our clergy aren't professing what we know to be true. And so when we don't have those role models in these very high positions, I think that makes it difficult for young women to know which way to go. And when, we have a program called Be the Louder Voice, and it's all about teaching our parents how to be the louder voice in a highly sexualized culture, because we know that with the internet, with social media, our children that's where they're going to get their information. If we as parents and we as a church do not provide this information to them and be that louder voice, they're going to go to their friends and they're going to go to the internet. And that's a huge educational component to what these young people are learning about. And I think right now what young women are being told is, it isn't a life and it is your body. And that's something that we do have to respect, because this is a woman's body and this is happening to her, and we totally appreciate that at the Share Center. But we need to educate them that you can't separate the life within from your own life. And that's where I think there is a disconnect, is we're looking at this child and as a part of your health, your rights as a woman to make a health choice, your reproductive health. And that's where I think there's a little bit of a disconnect. But like I said, I don't think it's just with young Catholic girls. Obviously, Catholic boys are a huge part of that. A study was once done where they asked women, who is the major determining factor in your choice to have an abortion? What support system? And 80-something% of them said the father of the child or their partner. And so it's where one part of society is saying it's a woman's choice, it's a woman's choice. We need to still be talking to the men and asking them to step up, or the young men to step up and say, I'm here to support you, and I'm here to support you by helping you parent this child. I'm here to support you by providing financially, rather than I'm here to support whatever you want to do. And I don't have an opinion because I'm not allowed to.
Kim, why won't these men, these boys, not stand by, without shame, the young lady in question who is impregnated by him?
Well, again, I think society is driving that force of telling women and men, telling men, you don't have a right. It isn't your body. It's not your business. It was your business up until one point, and then when a child is introduced into the equation, you're no longer part of the equation, unfortunately. And we've had men at the Share Center come in and say those words to us, say, I hope she chooses to have the baby, but I understand it's her body, and she needs to do what's right for her. And so we really want to educate the men that there's a way to be supportive that doesn't have to be, I support you no matter what you do, even though I really want you to have our child. And talking to them about, if you can't parent, is adoption an option? Let's talk to you more about that. So I really think it's just we've gotten to a place in society where we are pushing so hard for women's rights. And I'm a woman, I can appreciate that. But we have to remember there's a child that has rights and there's a man that has rights. And beyond that, there's other family members that this affects on down the road as well. So
you speak about the louder voice, and God bless organizations and movements like Share and many similar organizations. How can you, as a woman, how can you, as part of these worthy organizations, motivate our bishops and priests to accelerate that voice, so our congregations can hear loud and clear that these are our expectations and criteria for continue to push pro-life?
Well, I think at the very smallest level in our own local churches, first we need to be active in our local churches, talking with our clergy. If there's Respect Life ministries in our local churches, getting involved actively with them, because when we start small, then we can work as teams and grow larger, and we can find ways that as one person you can make a difference. You just have to know the right connections and who to speak to. And then I think on a larger level, of course, if there's campaigns where you can write into your bishops, your archbishops, finding out more, and sometimes that's hard and that can be overwhelming. And so that's why I said on a local level, if you can touch base with your own Respect Life ministries or your own clergy if you don't have a Respect Life ministry, and find out and ask those questions. Who do we need to be talking to? Who do we need to be supporting? What can we do on an individual level, and then as a larger entity as well?
Well, our people here at St. Joseph are very pro-life. God bless them. And as you know, our people are very generous when it comes to tithing, and very generous when it comes to supporting worthy organizations like Share. So our people love you so much, Kim, that they have given you $4,300
Wow.
for our Share Center,
Thank
and many in the audience have contributed to this check. So as part of our gratitude and support, not just for Share, but for the pro-life movement, we are proud to present you, Kim Barton, to pass on to the Share Center $4,322 to be used, for all future projects and needs as they arise in your community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
Kim.
appreciate it very much. I do want to thank you and thank St. Joseph's. That St. Joseph's, as I said from the very beginning, has been an integral part of the Share Center and the growth of the Share Center. And so y'all have always been very supportive, and so I thank you very much for that.
Kim, can you name some of our current members of Respect Life Ministry here at St. Joseph's?
Sure. We actually Michelle Wilson used to be our coordinator of the Respect Life Ministry, and just here recently, Pam Gordon and Joy Coe now are the co-coordinators of the Respect Life Ministry. And they have been holding meetings once a month. We're actually going to have our meeting this month, and now you put me on the spot. Pam's going to get me for this, but it is soon.
Prior to COVID, Kim, we always had that beautiful send-off for our people to go to Austin.
Yes.
And stand at the steps of the Capitol and be our loudest voice for pro-life movement. Last year with COVID, that did not happen. So do we have plans in the fall of this year or early spring of 22 to reinstate the bus and our people to travel to Austin?
Well, I don't want to speak for Pam, but because I know they just started meeting again the last couple of months because of COVID. They hadn't been able to meet. And so I know that they have so many plans, and I believe that is to reinstate that. We had gotten to where we were getting 2 buses. I mean, we started out with just a couple of us going to where we were filling 2 charter buses. And so that's just a huge, and we're talking young adults, our youth, just across the board, little ones walking. I know several of y'all have been out with us. And so I imagine Pam, they're very involved herself. Her husband Jeff also is involved with us. And they've been to Washington and done the march in Washington. So I can't imagine they wouldn't want to continue the tradition here and do that again. We normally do that in January, the third Sunday, that third weekend rather, for Sanctity of Life Sunday. And that's because it's at the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. And so that's normally when we do it. And so I would anticipate that to happen again this coming year.
One final question, Kim. In your experiences, at Share and centres prior to Share, was there one encounter with a young girl, a young lady, a male partner that brought you to tears by virtue of how they spoke to you, or by virtue of an experience they may have shared with you to the point of moving you to extreme tears and not just disillusionment, but serious concern?
There's actually been several times when myself or our staff have been brought to tears, and there's one in particular, and some of y'all that have been with us for some time now have heard this story, but I bring it up because, for one, it was our very first experience, and it really enlightened a lot of us. But our very first young woman, who was what we consider to be abortion-minded, so that would be somebody that comes in literally saying, I'm considering abortion. I actually knew her personally, and she came to us and explained her situation, and it was a difficult situation. And without going into a lot of details, it was I think a lot of times people think young men and women make these decisions kind of offhanded and carelessly, not thinking, but it's really not like that. It's a difficult decision to make, and she found herself in a tough place, and she came to us, And when she did so, she indicated that, if I'm 4 months or further along, I'll probably go ahead and keep the baby. That's a term a lot of people use, is keep the baby. She said, but if it's younger than that, it's really not a baby, and so I'll probably go ahead and abort. And the thing she said soon after that was, I was raised as a Christian, and I know what my parents want for me, and I am pro-life, but now it's me. And I just remember that being very impactful, because knowing this woman personally, knowing her upbringing, I was already thinking that in my head, I was thinking, oh, but you know this is life and stuff. But she said, but now it's me. And I think that's important for everybody to know, because we may be raised in a certain way. We may understand our Catholic upbringing, or our, for our Protestant brothers and sisters, their upbringing. But when it happens to you, it really upsets things, and it's not an easy decision. And so thankfully, when she came, we were able to do a sonogram, and she was only 2 months along, and we were nervous about what that would mean, because she had already said, but she saw the child's heartbeat, which, as we said, you can see as early as 6 weeks. She was 8 weeks. She saw the child's heartbeat. She saw its formation, its little paddle hands and stuff. And thank the Lord, that child's getting ready to celebrate his four-year birthday this summer. Aww. And so she did choose life for her child. But specifically what she said when she said, "But now it's me." That wasn't a selfish thing. It was just wow. It's easy to say I'm pro-life, until it happens to you, and then you really have to make some hard decisions. And that's what we hope at the Share Center. We can help you know that you aren't alone, and that there are options outside of abortion, and you have support that
Beautiful.
will be there for you. So.
And seeing is believing. The moment she saw,
yes,
through the sonogram, faith and all that contributed to her faith from times past kicked in.
Yes.
Without hesitation.
Well, and I think she realized, she thought it wasn't a baby.
Correct.
And then she realized
and
it
she
was
realized
indeed a baby.
in
yes.
that moment. Well, Kim, this was a beautiful encounter. We're so blessed to have you an integral part of our parish, and may God bless the Share movement in the years that lie ahead. On this feast of St. Bede, we invoke his intercession to watch over the pro-life movement through Christ our Lord. God bless you, God love you.